So, from your experience, what structural changes have the most tangible impact on inclusion?
So actually, for this question, I'm gonna um, touch on something we haven't talked about: lab practices and safety. So this one has been a big one within my career. I can remember sitting in grad school in the state of Florida in the middle of summer in safety glasses, shorts, and flip-flops. And as I have moved from one role to the other, there has been a lot more safety. I bring this up because of the chemicals I work with regularly during I have two children. So during both of my pregnancies here, my roles had to really change because of the company's safety policy. And I think that's a big thing for women to know that when they are in a career like this, that does have health implications at certain times during life, that companies are willing to work with you and are going to make a way to make it possible for you. So I just think that that's an important part. Uh, Topic to bring up, and the fact that most companies now are very, very safety oriented, and we have signs on the lab: do not enter, reproductive hazards, things like that, and that you are empowered to do what's best for you in those different situations within life.
So from my experience, and I framed that question when I was thinking about this, it's from like a both a laboratory, PI, and as also like a graduate program director that I am for our program here. I think the main thing for, structural changes is like clarity. You need to be clear in expectations. You need to be clear, kind of echoing Amanda on the safety, but in like in my experience in all of them, like in all the guidelines of the program, in all the different expectations that you have of people, because sometimes I think a lack of clarity then lends itself to people not feeling, confident, not feeling like they can do something, leading to like, errors in the laboratory that could, endanger the safety of everybody, that could, impact their grades, that could impact their process in the whole, like in our sense, like for example, going into a thesis or a dissertation. So I think clarity is kind of like for me the root where, and I saw that as a way to explain that as a structural change, because then you can lay out what you're expecting, what you're going to be learning, and like if you don't know something, then if you're clear about it, you can actually be transparent and ask the questions that need to be asked in order to be successful in whatever role, from a graduate student into maybe, either whether they be academic or industry, it's the same thing. So I think for me, it's like in order for structural changes is to be very clear in your procedures, whatever they are, whether it be, again, for like the safety of the laboratory, what I expect as a PI, what I expect of my students. Sometimes what I think a lot of, and I tell my own students, don't, we can't read people's minds. And sometimes you assume, and assuming sometimes like, oh, I assumed you knew this, you assume I knew that. And sometimes it's just being open to like, if you're clear about the expectations and that clarity is in your workplace, wherever it is, whether it be academia or industry, I think it helps to for the structure of that environment to move forward.
I think in terms of lab practices, I think it's really important for inclusion to um, really put together a good cross-training program for scientists that are really trying to expand their skills and learn a little bit more. So I think that that only strengthens a group altogether, that, you not only do you have two people that maybe are able to do a certain type of analysis, but also a lot of the time, I think there are so many people who just are not ready to maybe speak up or like advocate for themselves, maybe some of that clarity piece. So having some, I've found especially some of these cross-training policies or cross-training, like not policies, but opportunities within my company to be really, really useful. Beyond the lab itself, I also think, I've appreciated some of the efforts that I've seen, not just where I work, but yeah, across companies having really focuses on inclusion with specialized groups for gender inclusion, leadership building, for pride, for veterans groups that are really, really useful to really kind of take back to what we were talking about, normalize some of these things and give people a space to feel supported and not alone. And then also too, in terms of kind of like government policy wise, I was really I really appreciate some of the programs that exist. For example, one of them is like the GAN program in the United States to give us the ability to reach out and get students that maybe wouldn't have been able to have some of the opportunities in the areas that they live in to really grow and include them.
It was an interesting take that Amanda was saying about thinking about safety within the lab. And I remember when I had my two children, that it was never a question in my mind, oh, is my job safe? Am I okay being like in the lab? It was having the team around me who were supportive and helped me with being able to do my job when I wasn't physically able to be in the lab. And so I think actually having that mentality within industry or academia, or even having that thought that having the care of other people around you, I really think is really important. I also think that it's important for us to be aware of programs and opportunities which are available to us, and actually utilizing those. So I know, for example, the ChromeSoc in the UK, they have various bursaries and those sort of things. And it's actually, the onus is on us to take those opportunities for us to attend conferences or attend educational programs and to better ourselves. So it's actually taking the leap to actually take those chances and apply for these bursaries and sponsorships that are available to us.